Hi, everyone, and welcome to my August video blog. And today we're going to look at the concept of aging, simply because it's my birthday month. And I'm coming up to yet another big milestone, not this year, but next year. So this year is my 59th year on this planet, and next year, all being well, will be my 60th. And it really got me thinking about age and the concept of age, because as a young person, like I presume many young people, we think of growing old in terms of the number. So when I think about my grandparents, etc., they were old. They were actually still relatively young. When I was young, they would only have been in their 40s. But I think just the whole phrasing of grandparent, or grandma, grandpa, whatever it happens to be, ages that person. And then, of course, as a young child, our comprehension and our perceptions of being old was relative to us, I suppose. I think one of the things that in becoming old that or older, I should say, that I've noticed in my behaviors is that I can actually be really quite cheeky. I seem to get away with a lot of things that I wouldn't have gotten away with as a young person. I know that strange people always talk to me. So when I say strange people, what I mean by that is complete and utter strangers tend to come up and talk to me. And it happens all of the time in the most bizarrest of circumstances, from standing in a post office queue and a lady coming in from outside the post office tapping me on the shoulder, say, "I really like your skirt and I think you should know that." And then she walked back out of the post office. So I get these really sort of not bizarre interactions, but these unusual interactions with people that they just make me giggle. And the most recent one in the opticians, just talking to a lady. Well, actually, she started talking to me because she's having to wear 4 different sets of glasses because of a medical condition in her eyes. And I just happened to say, "Well, you're going to be like Steve off of the repair shop," and I stack them on the top of your head. And she just roared with laughter. And the phrase was out before I could even think about it. But is that what getting older means? That you can say things that might be deemed a little bit inappropriate, but actually they make people smile. She laughed and laughed and laughed, and I think it took away the edge for her in terms of that she was getting older and she was having these issues with her eyes. For myself, I have to say I'm coming through this decade of the 50s, being 50, and I haven't really enjoyed it. It wasn't so much about becoming 50. That wasn't really the issue, because you can't stop the time process. It is just going to march on. But it has been quite a difficult decade, I feel, for me. And it's been a really physically difficult, challenging decade. And that sort of has made me think about my well-being and my wellness and approaching things in a completely different way that will hopefully, as I move into my next decade next year, when I get into my 60th birthday, that it will be a better, more well year. And hopefully I will do it with grace, because as we get older, are we going to be graceful? Are we going to be disgraceful? For my grandfather, it was like all bets were off. He had decided the age of 60, he could just say whatever he wanted, regardless of how that impacted people. So he was, I suppose, a little bit more on the disgraceful side, because some things that he said, I have to say, yeah, people didn't actually really appreciate his candor, if we put it like that. I hope for myself that it will be a graceful transition into this new era. But is it about age, or is it about how we feel? Do we feel young at heart? Do we feel a sense of joy regardless of our age? There are some people I know who are very studious and very serious, and they're very young. And so they are older in some respects than I would be because of their perception of the world around them and what's happening in the world around them. But does that come with age as well? Do we, with a sense of maturity, get to a stage where we just abandon all cares and we just stop worrying and stressing and then we just enjoy life? It's one of those concepts that impacts us all, but we're not quite sure what that means for us and how that impacts our sense of well-being. Age it's just a perception. And it is something, as I say, that comes to us all for those of us who are blessed enough to get another year and get another year. And I know for myself, I do feel very blessed. So what does that mean for you? What does aging mean for you? Have a think about that. And have you spent your last year from one birthday to the next year? Have you enjoyed it? What have been the changes that you've perceived in your life? What have you achieved? Do you feel you have that sense of achievement? I know for myself, I had a friend, and I sort of call it the Peter Pan complex. And she was 24 for years. She's obviously not 24, but she was 24. That was her key year. That was the year for her where she felt fully empowered and she felt just alive. And as I reflect back, for me, it was 47. At the age of 47, I felt fully alive. I felt absolutely in my prime of my life. I was firing on all cylinders, which is why I think the 50s became such a disappointment because it just became a really physically challenging process. However, I don't need to go back to 47. I just need to recreate the circumstances that I had back then. I just need to recreate them in my 60s to have that feeling and to recapture that feeling. And I think that's something to remember. We all have the power to create a set of circumstances that not only helps us feel young and healthy, but brings in a sense of joy, love, and laughter. And I would say to all of you who are feeling just a little bit trapped in your set of circumstances, or you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, think about some of the really small changes that you can make that can possibly give you those happy hormones, whether it's watching your favorite movie or spending time in nature or taking time on that morning coffee, that special morning coffee, just to savor that process and feel the sensation of joy or gratitude that you have just by consuming that warm, hot liquid. So joy can be in the most simplest of things. So for myself, growing old is not necessarily a number, but it is how we feel, and it is how I feel. And it is, I think, something that's a little bit like a squeeze box. We can feel really old one day and then we feel really young the next day. So we're in and out of that whole dynamic, that perception of who we are and what we're offering everyone out there. So that's just my musings for this month. I have to say, July as a month in itself, it was a month where I feel everyone was in a state of flux. If I was to think back on my client base, it was almost like pushing water uphill. Everything that they wanted to achieve, it just didn't quite gel. We couldn't quite get into a rhythm. And it was like the whole of July was like that. I think externally, as we look at what is happening globally in terms of the weather events, in terms of what's happening here domestically, I would say that there are people who are definitely feeling like they are pushing water up a hill. they're not getting to the destination or the outcomes that they want. And that's been really difficult because that can take the fun out of life, and it can be really difficult to find the joy in what is happening around us. However, we've come into August and it feels like the brakes are off. It just feels like the brakes are off. I don't know how else to describe it. I think maybe because it is my birthday month and I really enjoy August. I mean, I've always enjoyed August. And again, because I'm just surrounded by lots of Leos on Facebook, like we're all really excited about this month. But I think it feels like some of the blocks, some of the restrictions that have been placed on us seem to be lessening their grip on us. And that sensation of the brakes coming off and movement coming into our life, I am hoping beyond all hope that that sense of joy will come into your life this month and see us through to the end of the year. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. So that's been my perception of July. It's been a very, we'll call it dry July, but not just from abstaining from your alcohol consumption, but it's just been a dry July emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. It has been quite an odd month. As we move into August time, I've got my usual offerings out there into the universe. My live talk is going to be not here on YouTube, but I'm going to take it onto Insight Timer, the platform Insight Timer. So I've put the links into the newsletter. Last month, the volume of people joining me on Insight Timer was quite remarkable, really. And I feel that that's where I need to put my energy, as to where the audiences are. And I'm not saying the audience isn't here in New Zealand, but if we can all culminate in the one place, that would be really awesome. So have a look at the link and see what you find there. You'll see my work on Insight Timer as well. Also, many thanks to the people who are continuing to subscribe to the monthly meditation. I am recording new meditations this week, and you will see them soon on the meditation app here on Opus Soul. So giving you something new to think about, but I'm always open to suggestions. So if you would like a meditation on a particular topic, then please feel free to send that topic through to me and I will compose something. What came out of last month's Insight Timer live conversation was that the crew over there want to have a meditation with angels. So that is what I'll be busy recording, a few angel meditations. So for those of you that are on the monthly subscription to the Meditation Zone, look out, new meditations coming. So giving you something new to listen to. And as always, we have a combination of Reiki classes, always the most popular thing that I've got. My online classes are always out there, and the audio classes, the tarot meditation audio classes, just about finished all 4 suits now. So we'll have those up and live for you if you want to really gain a much deeper perspective on how to use your tarot. The feedback from some of the students has been quite stunning in the journeys that they've been having, and I get a daily update as they go from one card to the next, to the next, to the next. So that's been really inspiring, to be honest. I've been really delighted that the lesson and the audio meditations have been well received, but also having a really positive impact in people's lives. So, if you want to continue your meditation journey and experience tarot at the same time, then by all means pop into the audio courses on the Opus Soul website. So I hope you've enjoyed my insights on the month of August about the topic of aging and aging with grace. And we'll see you next month when we join you here on YouTube for our live stream. Until the next time, take care of yourselves, be good to yourselves, and age gracefully. Age gracefully. Bye for now.